Welcome. It's great to have you all with us this evening. Thanks for coming. Tonight we're going to talk about breaking news, sifting through the information avalanche for the real news. Tonight is the first of a 4-part series of workshops. Well, I have 2 experts tonight, and it's my great pleasure to introduce them. They are wonderful, wonderful assets to the Christian Science model.
I just wanted to say thank you for your... Okay, so thank you very... All right. So now you get an idea of what it was like to bring this program to birth.
So great to be here. I'm sorry, thank you for coming. It's great to see the house so full. They told me that people had reservations. I took it a different way. So here we go. This is the structure for tonight.
How it is, how it was, and where we go from here.
And then we're going to give you some tools we think can help you navigate where you want to go from here.
What we think about an event largely determines what we do about an event. So here we are, swimming in a pool of raw information coming from social media all around the world. And it is the era of the citizen journalist, meaning everybody has a voice, everybody has a source, everybody has an outlet. So the question is, what are the tools that we can pull out of the world of legacy and traditional media? So taking that forward for us now in this world of social media where everybody is a journalist, you have to say, what kinds of tools can you develop? And then what you would begin to pursue is the kind of triangulation where you begin to look at a source over here, you look at a source over there, you talk to somebody here, you compare, you contrast, and then finally you come up with your own sense of what's true and what's actionable. So out of that comes the new maxim for the social media era, which is assume it is false until it is proven true.
So we're going to start off with a very brief video that will give us a sense of some of the explosion of social media that's happened.
I took a class back in 1997, kind of at the dawn of Al Gore's internet. And it was down at Long Beach State, and the instructor walked in the first day and said, there will be no textbook, there will be no handouts, there will be no course materials other than what you get on your computer, and most of the things that we go through over the next 3 months of the course will be obsolete by the time the class is over.
What does all that rapid change mean for journalism specifically, for us as journalists and you as consumers of news? This next video is just a small excerpt from several much larger ones created by Robert Hernandez at USC.
A mobile phone is an essential device for a media consumer. And that means it is also now the most important piece of equipment for a modern journalist.
So it's easy to see how this could all get very much out of hand. But we thought, as Dan and I discussed this, that we would pull a little piece of frippery off the internet for you to consider just what that might mean.
This is Clarice Tinsley with breaking news at City Hall of a hostage situation and a gunman on the loose. Thanks for that update, Matt.
Okay, so that's fun. It is, of course, a serious topic, and that was never more evident than in 2013 with the Boston Marathon bombing.
This is a photo taken and posted onto Facebook. And when the FBI asked people to look at their photos, he found that he had captured one of the suspects in that photo.
The social media landscape that evolved around the Boston Marathon bombing investigation and the law enforcement manhunt also revealed some serious dark sides to the social media citizen journalist world. The first of which is that these guys were out in the street snapping pictures, Instagramming, Twittering, blah, 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 in the middle of a manhunt. They went on Reddit and developed a Reddit page. The subreddit was called Find the Shooter. And it began to be sort of a competition between the crowd sleuthers and law enforcement as to who could get the shooter first. They fingered the wrong people. And the New York Daily Post picked that up and put it on their front page. And they were wrong, and the pair that were misidentified ended up suing the paper.
So we're going to go back a little bit and try and figure out how it was. It's also really critical to understand and be reminded that journalism in America isn't like journalism anywhere else, or at least it hasn't been. All you really need to know is in this book. It basically says that the press always takes on the form and coloration of the social and political structures within which it operates. What media workshop would be complete without explaining a way to assess the conventional news story? These are incredibly simple. It just takes the extra effort to pay attention and do them. So now we're going to turn the corner and ask, where do we go from here?
The first question would be, is objectivity obsolete? The next one, is social journalism taking over?
What does it mean for traditional journalists and consumers? The answer is that all of us are in the driver's seat.
So let's see. Call out ones that any of you have used.
Vimeo.
Mm-hmm. How about ones that you've just heard of? Okay. How about ones you've never heard of?
There are also websites that aggregate the content from other news outlets. One I use every day is called Artumble. It sums up what every newspaper in the state has written about every day, organized by subject.
There's another one called TweetDeck, which is an app that you can get to use with Twitter.
Oh, but if you really want to cut through everything, get to the essentials of everything that's important,
Get ready.
all you really need to do is visit this website right here,
Brazen Pitch.
or subscribe to the weekly magazine.
Okay, and a Brazen Pitch. Okay, all right, so now at this moment, without any further explanation, we are going to see two videos.
We are staying on top of a developing story this morning. A local 18-year-old is shot and killed by police in Ferguson.
County police are handling this investigation. Ferguson confirms they shot and killed a suspect. According to Mike Brown's mother, that suspect is her 18-year-old son. She said he was shot on Canfield Drive and left laying in the street for hours. Pictures all over social media.
Well, what extraordinary scenes in Ferguson today. Just 24 hours ago, there was tear gas being fired, there was confrontation, they were facing the police, but look at them now. Hundreds of people have taken to the streets. Tell me how you're feeling right now.
Right now I'm feeling real amazed, man. It's just like it's unity all over the city.
But do you really think this is change for good? The change that you want for your community, do you think change has come for good?
It should. I don't see why it wouldn't. The way technology is set up, social media, everybody knows about this. Nobody's gonna stop.
Okay, so as you can tell, that was coverage from the beginning of the Ferguson, Missouri unfolding event after the killing. So we chose Ferguson because it's recent, it was breaking news, hot breaking news, and identified by many top news organizations as one of the most impactful, or one of the news events most impacted by social media since the Arab Spring.
So after we saw the news reports about this, we decided to go behind the scenes and see what social media is saying about it. So we're going to take you to Reddit. That's page after page of these Twitter feeds and Vines, which are 6-second videos. Actually,
Are you police subject to arrest? Do it now!
pouring milk on a photographer who was tear gassed in the face. This one shows how complicated the formats can get, with one woman describing a photo of police pinning down a young man on the ground. Anyway, so that's what we found.
So it was a huge outpouring of raw data coming, both Ferguson speaking to Ferguson, but Ferguson speaking to the world. Really became a global event and still is unfolding. So as you see, for those intrepid readers of old media, Time magazine had it on its cover last week. What we're going to do now is, you have the handout. And what you're going to do for the next 10 to 12 minutes is you're going to look at those 4 questions and you're going to discuss them amongst yourselves. This is an event that pretty much all of us experienced as a breaking news event in real time, and this gives us an opportunity to question why we think what we think, where it came from, and how we can move forward and apply that to other breaking news events. Okay, participants.
So choose a leader for each group.
By listening to this crowd, you wouldn't get any idea of what actually went on. Everyone had a totally different idea of what happened. And trying to work out which was right, I don't know. Now I'm really confused.
Which was, where did you first get the information? Well, I got the information about Ferguson on Facebook first. I have a friend who's a cop, African-American cop in Boston, and he started posting about Ferguson right away. It was just amazing how instant that was.
We actually enjoyed our pod because we found that we all were so different. We had television, radio, online, papers, and social media. It came down to there's too much, and that it doesn't matter where you get your information from. If news, television show, or reporting, news shows and things, and radio and everybody had less news, if they had less news time to fill, they would be more selective about what they were reporting on.
We all agreed that there was so much raw data that it was overwhelming, and that what really stood out for really the one person who really did follow it a lot was just that it was the emotion that captured people, but there wasn't necessarily a sense that you could follow a story.
Our group didn't seem to get their news from social media. Correct me if I'm wrong. Mostly from television, also from the newspapers. So contrary to, I guess, some of the thoughts that were expressed tonight, social media did play a big part for us. We talked about what's most credible, having to do with what the source is, what the station is, what the reputation is of the reporter or the news station.
When you realize that the instantaneous information that you're getting on site is coming from people who may have any of a number of kinds of points of views, it's very hard to validate what that point of view is. In fact, I don't think there's really any way that you can validate the point of view, and therefore you really don't know how to validate the information flow in the context of their view of the world.
Excellent.
I can only give my opinion in making this exercise up, which is the day I went to Reddit and looked at all those tweets and little tiny vines of 6 seconds to see what they were doing. I did that for a long time, then I went out and watched the nightly news, and I was delighted to have one person who'd been in Ferguson all day just give me the 2-minute report. I don't want to try and sum up, oh, so-and-so's leaving the parking lot at 4 o'clock, and these guys are getting yelled at, and here's these 2, Humvees leaving here and there. But on the other side, I also think that, can you imagine having an army of people like this if you were a traditional broadcast journalist and suddenly have 16,000 citizen journalists breathing down your neck, how much better you would want to do your job and make sure you got it right? So here's the summary. Know your sources. Learn to ask the right questions. The growing burden is on you. So make the tools of social media work for you rather than bewilder you. So therefore you get to walk out of here having made close personal friends for a long time, and you can exchange emails and tweets with each other, and each of you can tell you what really works for you and what doesn't.
Thank you all for coming tonight, and to let you know about the dates of our future monitor series. And so we would look forward to having all of you here, and please tell your friends about it. We'd love to have a full house that evening, and we just think that Dan and Glo have so much to offer in helping us to sift through the news and understand it better. We'll look forward to seeing you in November. Don't forget to vote before you come to see us. And we just loved having you here tonight, so thanks for coming. Good night. See you in